Miracles Today with David E. Taylor.
Inheritance by lineage. Electricity of the Father. Did you know that you can come to a place in your walk with God where you can have electricity from the Father physically manifest where you are? In a divine visitation from Jesus in heaven, David E. Taylor received this revelation on how to operate in the ancient powers of our forefathers. In this series, you will learn that you are called to walk in great power and manifestations that our forefathers walked in. God can take your spirit out of your body and take you to heaven to give you divine revelation. Kathryn Kuhlman had electricity from the Father that manifested in her service. If you honor your forefathers, you can inherit the powers that they had. David E. Taylor was taken to heaven, and Jesus allowed him to talk to Smith Wigglesworth, Kathryn Kuhlman, and others, teaching him the secrets of how to walk in the power of the saints of old. You too can have this. In this dynamic series, you will learn the revelation that Kathryn Kuhlman taught David E. Taylor in heaven. The glory power that Kathryn Kuhlman walked in, including the electricity of the Father that manifested in her service, will be supernaturally imparted to you. Now listen as David E. Taylor shares with you how to walk in 1,000 times greater than our spiritual fathers in ministry. He will impart to you these great mantles that Jesus taught and released to him personally, face to face. This is a special series concerning David E. Taylor's trip to heaven and what Jesus told him face to face concerning your destiny. Today he presents to you part 3 of Inheritance by Lineage. Electricity of the Father.
First time my face began to shine. My whole body began to glow. I was just up preaching, teaching, and my hands began to glow like these lights. I'm not talking about in the spirit. I'm talking about physically. I had never seen anything like that. And I knew it was from that inheritance I asked for. I got up off my knees praying, and I went out for a moment. Then when I came back in the bathroom and I walked past the mirror and I saw my face shining. My skin was physically shining like lights, transfiguring. 3 times it happened to me. How do you get his inheritance? You ask for it. I didn't even do a 3-day fast totally, and I got what Moses had, like Kathryn, my face shining. It was an inheritance. If your fathers have paid for it, you don't have to pay for it. Then listen to this. In 1992, it didn't stop there. God comes to me in a dream. I'm about to let you go. God comes to me in a dream, and he makes me time travel to the past to one of Kathryn Kuhlman's service. I time traveled to the past, and all of a sudden, I'm in this massive arena up in the nosebleed section. And by this time, this is 1992, I'm staying with that pastor from the Caribbean who went out speaking evil of me, and God made his tongue dumb. That was the same guy who said, "Get out of the mirror." So have y'all read that in my book? So now you understand what placement it is. I'm 19 years old at this time. I'm still following Pastor Benny's ministry, and he talks about Kathryn a lot. So all of a sudden, I have this dream. And let me say this, God will use dreams in your sleep to mentor you. Write that down. He will use dreams in your sleep to mentor you, and also, watch this, give you indications of the spiritual inheritance that you've already received. When you wake up, you should believe you have it. Are you hearing me? Come on, I can't hear you. So I'm in this service, up in the nosebleed section, and Kathryn Kuhlman is on the stage in this white flowing gown. All these people are everywhere. And all of a sudden, guys, I saw blue electricity come from heaven in her service. And like, you ever heard electricity skipping on a wire? That's how it sounds. And it spread throughout the building. In the dream, in the dream, the whole arena, we all make a response when we see this blue electricity. We're like, ooh. In the dream, the whole arena said it. And there was this man in a wheelchair strapped down to 3 belts. I saw this, and his wheelchair started moving back and forth when the electricity came in the building. And all the eyes, we were all on him. And all of a sudden, without Kathryn touching him or anything, she's just standing on the stage. The glory of God is there. Those metal belts pop off him. He untwists. They pop off of him. Pew, pew, pew. Three, he busts and jump out of the wheelchair untwisted. That was power. I'm in this dream seeing this glory on this lady. She didn't touch nobody. They just get healed. And all of a sudden, at the end of the dream, a finger comes in God's hand. I knew it was God's hand, it was his finger. He wrote it in cursive. This is your day to do what she did. You see, people who are dead and gone on, they had their day. This is your day. You must arise to the challenge now. You must quit wasting time. You've been given the responsibility to do it. They are dead, but their mantles are still on the earth. Pick it up. Do it. He was encouraging me. And right when that finger was writing that at the end, the pastor comes and he's waking me up out of my sleep. Get up, come and watch Benny Hinn. Benny Hinn is on. I was so mad at him. I said, I was just in a crusade with Kathryn Kuhlman. I said, why are you messing with me? He says, I just feel led to have you come. You need to come and watch Benny Hinn. It's 12:30 at night. That's when Benny would come on at 12:30 a.m. in the morning, at night in 1982. I was so mad. I said, okay. I got up and went and sat on the edge of his bed. We started looking at TV, and right when I entered this room and sat on the bed, Joan Geeson, who used to work for Benny Hinn, was asking her, Joan, tell us about that service with the man that was strapped down in the 3 metal belts in Kathryn's service. And the electricity came. I jumped up off the bed. I said, I just saw it. Then he said, sit down, sit down. I was already mad at him. Now he's telling me to sit down. So I sat back down in the bed and she told the whole story I had just dreamed. It was a real service. And that's when I said, I'm going to pay the price to be used, and people get healed out of wheelchairs. 2 or 3 years later, it started. People started getting out of wheelchairs, but I never had that blue electricity come in my service. And when I went to heaven, that's when I got a chance to ask Kathryn how, in this book, that's when I met her, and she told me when I saw her in heaven, I wanted to ask her a question. I was with Jesus. Smith Wigglesworth was standing there. He let Smith Wigglesworth talk to me. And then he interjected. And then I saw Kathryn. She was standing on a bridge over the river of life. It was a wooden bridge going over the river of life. And she was standing there, and I saw her, and I looked at Jesus. I said, can I go talk to her? She is still a redhead, you know. You know, Kathryn was a redhead on earth. She's a redhead in heaven. She still has red hair. She's tall. She's taller than me. Tall and slender. And when I saw her over there, I asked Jesus, and Jesus is so humble. I'm like, I could ask him, why am I not thinking of that? He's the Son of God. I should ask him. He just smiled. He says, go over there. You can go and talk to him. I ran from where Jesus was and ran over there to the river of life and went on the bridge with Kathryn. And I looked at her. And right when I come up to her, the first thing she says, she talks to me before I talk to her. She says, hi, David, with joy. And I'm saying, you know me? She says, everybody here in heaven knows you, David. That's what she said. Everybody. I said, everybody. She says, yes. Jesus talks about you to everybody because you talk about him on earth. You love Jesus. You spread his name. He confessed you before everybody, even the angels. All of us know you here. I started crying. I was so touched by that. And then I looked at her. I said, I've always wanted to ask you a question. I've always wanted to know something. I said, you know the dream that God gave me about your service where the blue electricity came out of heaven? She says, yes, I know the Lord showed you that. I said, you know, I learned how to pay the price to see the miracles happen. I said, but to have God work with me where there's sovereignty, where there's nobody laying hands, I'm not laying hands, and his power from the throne come in the service and just start healing people like that, invisibly seen by people. I said, how do I get that? And then her eyes changed. She looked firm at me. She says, number one. And I got like, okay. I thought she was about to tell me a revelation. How do I get this blue electricity coming from God's throne in my services like she did? She says, number one, don't ever quit preaching the word. And I was like, okay, I know that. But you see, we really don't know that because the Bible says signs and wonders follow the word. Don't ever quit preaching the word. That's what she said to me. She says, number two, do not desecrate. Don't ever desecrate. I never understood what that meant during that time. But it talks about a grave site. When you talk about the word desecration, when I got back, you always talk about desecrating a grave, a sacred grave. Kathryn talked about paying the price and dying to self. She's talking about how she was buried spiritually. Basically, what she was talking about is that once you're dead, don't desecrate the grave, don't dig it up. Are y'all hearing me here? That's why Paul said, I die daily. Die daily, stay dead. She was talking about reverence. That's why many ministers can't have this kind of power because they're too casual in the service. They ain't serious. This is a serious glory. That's why I'm on my staff. Get this done. Don't do this. Some people say, oh, he's mean. No, I'm serious. I don't want nothing to interrupt the glory of the anointing. The way of the Lord must be prepared. Are y'all hearing me? And I learned that the blue electricity started coming in my services. I preached this in Washington State, in Spokane, in Carville, Washington, and in Seattle. And a beautiful couple, a Caucasian couple, came up to me like a mother and a father to me today. They are. But back then I just met them. And I told this whole story I'm telling you, and they came up to me and they said, David, we were in Kathryn Kuhlman's service. You know, they were in their 80s. We were in her services. They said in all her services, the blue electricity didn't come, but some of them they did. And we got a picture, we captured it. We're gonna give it to you so you can have it. Look at that. That was caught on film. You could tell years ago in her service. The real power from behind God's throne. It started happening in my service where all the lights, the TV lights would bust out and everybody saw the blue lightning. Jimmy McDonald, that used to sing with Kathryn Kuhlman, was her favorite best friend. How many of you heard of Jimmy McDonald? Musicians. Someone told him about my service in Cleveland, Ohio. People started getting out of wheelchairs very early in my ministry. I was like 21, 22, 23. It just started happening and it kept going. But as years went on, I emptied my first hospital. Everybody in wheelchairs were healed. In 2003. in Cleveland, Ohio, the first hospital that was empty in my ministry. Jimmy McDonough was invited to my service. He's Benny Hinn's spiritual father. He's like a father because he worked with Kathryn, and Benny Hinn sees him as a father. He came to my service, that Cleveland service where all them wheelchairs was across the stage and where I had emptied the whole hospital before the service even started. And he was just crying all the way through the service. After the service, of course, I tell him, Jimmy, I want you to sing. I can't believe you're here. There was about 3,000 people there. I said, a mutual friend had invited him, said, you gotta check out David Taylor. He's the next one coming up in America with the healing ministry. And so he came. He sat through my service and cried. This is a man who worked in all of Kathryn's services, sang for Benny, and Benny honors him as a father. And this is when Benny was packing out all the massive arenas in America. You couldn't get people. It's 20,000 people waiting outside to get in the next service at his arenas in his heyday here in America. Jimmy McDonough was saying, just crying through my service. And I thought in my mind while I was on stage seeing him cry, I didn't think he was crying from the presence of God. I said, maybe I'm doing something wrong. At the end of the service, he come back and we talk, and I say, Jimmy, I can't believe you're here. And I start saying, I want you to sing tomorrow night if you stay here. And I said, why were you crying? I saw you crying. And he still had tears in his eyes. And all my staff was around. We were all happy he was here. He says, I want to talk to you alone. Put everybody out for a moment. So I did. I had all my stuff go out. He sat down with me. He says, I'm going to tell you why I'm crying. He says, David, after those big arena crusades, Pastor Benny comes to me after those services to my hotel, and he sits on the floor in front of me while I sit in a chair on my bed, and he cries. And he says, Jimmy, you work with Kathryn Kuhlman. He says, I know God is using me powerful, but I still don't have that thing Kathryn had. It's something I'm missing. He says, can you tell me how to get it? Tell me how to get it. That presence she had in her service, that was amazing. And he said to me, he says, David, I honestly can't tell him. I don't know how she got it. But he asked me every other night after these big crusades, after God finished using him, he's crying, sitting on the floor asking me, how do I get it? He says, I can't tell him. And he looked at me and he started crying again. He says, for the first time in years, what he's asking for, what Kathryn had, and I work with her, David, I know. He says, as I sat in your service, I felt that glory that Kathryn used to have in her services. And then he looked at me, he says, how did you get that? What did you do? And then I said, Jimmy, sit down, let me tell you what happened. I said, I've been to heaven. He said, what? I said, I've been to heaven and I talked with Kathryn Kuhlman in heaven and she told me how to get it.
Tune in for the continuation of this dynamic series by David E. Taylor.
Get the Inheritance by Lineage book for a love gift of $25. You'll also receive a free bonus, the Inheritance by Lineage folder, with rich DNA charts that will lead you to discover your lineage. Get the School of Inheritance by Lineage CD series at only $75. When you do, you'll also receive a special free bonus, the Inheritance by Lineage book and full color folder.
We're starting a university based off what Jesus told me in heaven. We're kicking off the university.
Enroll today, absolutely free, in the Inheritance by Lineage Mentorship Program and University with David E. Taylor. In this university, God has spoken to David E. Taylor to personally mentor you and help you fulfill your destiny, calling, and give you direction to discover your true identity. This revelation is a milestone breakthrough that will take you to the next level for the next dimension of your destiny. You can enroll and be a part of this university anywhere in the world. Call in now, toll free, 1-877-THE-GLORY. That's 1-877-843-4567.
It was during the Christmas season. I was 17 years old when it first happened. Jesus appeared to me in a dream, and it changed my life forever. And he told me if I wrote this in a book, that he would appear to millions all over the world. And it's happening now.
I literally felt Jesus touch me. He came to me and delivered me that night.
I was brought up as a Hindu. I began reading the book. I had my first encounter with the Lord.
I was born Muslim, and I read the book. Jesus appeared to us.
Just like the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream, Jesus will appear to you in your dreams. Jesus appearing to David E. Taylor, birth the global miracle ministry, and God the Father coming down on earth, working with David E. Taylor, just like he prophesied, resulting in the massive deliverance of children from human slave trafficking. When you read this book, Jesus promises to visit you. Your intimacy will deepen. The face-to-face book retails for $20, but get your copy at a discounted price for only $12. 1-877-THE-GLORY.
The future revealed in dreams. God speaks in dreams during the FIFA World Cup soccer tournament. United States national soccer team player John Brooks' 2014 game-winning historical World Cup goal was shown to him 2 days beforehand by God in a dream. The FIFA World Cup soccer tournament is the most watched sporting event in the whole world, where half of the world watches. Nearly 4 billion people tune in, and God is speaking about the World Cup.
We know that God speaks in many ways. One way God's voice communicates with you, and it's when you're asleep.
People are having dreams from God. He's communicating with them, and they know it, but they're not bold about it.
Apostle David Taylor wants you to hear this most phenomenal testimony from the 2014 World Cup tournament. God gave wisdom in a dream to a member of the United States national soccer team by the name of John Brooks. The United States and Ghana were tied 1-1 in the 86th minute. John, who was sent in as a replacement, scored the game-winning goal on a header off of a corner kick.
Susan to take it. What's about that? It's John Brooks! It's John Brooks for the USA! They've stolen it!
John and his teammates were in utter amazement because 2 days before this game-winning goal, Brooks told his teammates that he had actually dreamed of scoring the game-winning goal from a header to the corner sometime in the 80th minute mark of the match. It came to pass exactly as he saw in the dream.
I was just happy.
Guy, John Brooks, that you just spoke of, then told Jeremy Schaap afterward that he had a dream he was going to score that goal. Dream, well, that was a dream game, dream scenario, I thought, for Team USA. So I was riveted and wildly excited.
John's game-winning goal made history as Brooks became the first substitute player in U.S. national team history to score during a World Cup match.
It's the first goal in World Cup history scored by a United States substitute.
The wisdom that was imparted to John in a dream by God before time caused him to score the game-winning goal. In the dream, God revealed to John how the goal would be scored and the timing of the goal, including that it would be the game-winning goal of the match. You cannot dream accurate details like this unless God gives it to you.
John Brooks, who won the cup, he talks about the dream he had in sports. So I'm talking to football players, I'm talking to basketball players, I'm talking to baseball players, soccer players, whatever sports you do, please do not think God don't talk to you. Jack Nicklaus, he dreamed how to hold the club before he won the tournament.
Yes, sir!
God speaks to sports players in dreams. Every arena of life. Vernon Forrester, he used to be the featherweight champion of the world.
Hard right hand by Forrest.
Barkley in trouble again.
Brennan was a dangerous opponent.
He dreamed one night that robbers were coming in. He says, when I was just about to reach for my gun in a dream, I woke up.
Vernon dreamed of his death beforehand, tweeting about what he saw. I dreamt I came home. Guys were breaking in my house. They chased me, was about to shoot me.
7 days later, he's at the gas station and some guys come to rob him. They have guns and they shoot and kill him. If I could have been in his life, I could have helped preserve him from that.
Whatever sports you play, please do not think God does not talk to you. He loves you and your career is important to him because you are important to him and he cares for you. Charles Middleton dreamed 2 nights in a row of the Titanic sinking. And because of these warnings and dreams, he did not board the Titanic and his life was spared. In his own words, he says, I booked a cabin in the Titanic on March 23rd. I felt unaccountably depressed at the time. And on April 3rd, I dreamt I saw the Titanic capsize and a lot of passengers struggling in the water. The following night, I dreamt exactly the same dream. The next day, I told my wife and several of my friends. On receiving cable advice from America that my business did not necessitate my crossing at once, I decided to cancel my passage. Nikola Tesla received a series of dreams which gave him the ideas for the technology that has become the foundation of many of Tesla's products.
A Serbian-American engineer who held over 300 patents. He is most famous for developing alternating current, a system of delivering electricity widely used today. At the dawn of the electric age, Tesla's discovery of the rotating magnetic field led to the first alternating current motor. This innovation impressed technological entrepreneur George Westinghouse, who decided to fund Tesla's work. Meanwhile, Edison labored on a competing electrical system based on direct current and smeared Tesla's design as dangerous. Nevertheless, Tesla and Westinghouse won the contract to light the groundbreaking 1893 World Exposition in Chicago, and alternating current technology took off from there.
Hence, Elon Musk named his company Tesla after the famous inventor.
The company's named after Nikola Tesla, who is an inventor. So he was a great man, a great inventor. So the company's named in honor of him.
What did you dream last night? Or what have you dreamed in the past that you need help interpreting? Call David E. Taylor today and let one of his ministers know that you saw this video and are calling for dream interpretation. Call 1-877-THE-GLORY. That's 877-843-4567. Visit the new, amazing website on dreams that David E. Taylor's put together just for you and your family to research dream symbols that you see in your dreams and what they mean. Dream symbols such as actions, animals, colors, places, people, metals, numbers, body parts, vehicles, insects, and so much more that you see in your dream. Call now to also order David E. Taylor's best-selling new dream books, The Dream Decoder, the world's largest dream dictionary in the world. Also order his best-selling book on dreams, The Importance of Dreams, and the Revelation Breakthrough message that is restoring honor to an ancient office that has been lost throughout time, restoring honor and understanding of the office of the dreamer. Call now, 1-877-THE-GLORY. For updated itinerary, events, and for more information, visit koggc.org.